So that's what I said.
Not.
Oh.
Lucky rupees.
That's true. Yeah. Good. You?
Call the meeting to order, all right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Everybody else out there? Might be able to fit them all in. We'll call a meeting to order. Hold hearing on proposed Humboldt County property tax levy for the year ending June 30th of 25. Public comments.
Can I start?
You can start.
Come up to the.
Yep.
Okay, most of you know me, Paul Anderson, my wife Marion. Of course, because of the legislature, I got 5 of these letters that are the most confusing,
We all got
misleading.
them too, Paul.
Yep,
Yes.
I got one too. Yep, they're all misleading to me. I'm not saying that the figures are wrong, but when they come out and say that your tax levy is down 15%, or well, that's a school, say the county is down 7%. Then the average person would think their taxes are going down 7%. Well, that's not the truth at all. This news, they always publish levies. Levy by itself going up or down doesn't mean anything if your taxes are going up and down. The thing that the taxes are based on is your budget, what you spend, or what you collect for the spending and stuff. So if you collect more this year than last year, somebody's gonna have to pay it, and it's taxpayers. I see in your proposed budget, you're gonna spend almost $1 million more. You're gonna collect, I should say, about $1 million more this year than last year's budget. And so, like I said, these are misleading, they're a waste of money. I know the legislature required this year and stuff. But it's I can't blame the county on that because the legislature required it. They had to outsource the mailing, which that ours came 5 days after the mailing. Well, the weekend was one thing, but then I traced it back. It actually got mailed from Minot, or no, not Minot, North Dakota and stuff. That's the company that works with Mail LLC. So it went through, and then on my letter, I can tell it went through Minneapolis. Then from there on, I can tell because of our informed delivery, it went through Minneapolis to Des Moines, to Fort Dodge, to Humboldt, and Dakota City. And so I got this 5 days after the mailing, and on one of our properties that is in the Laverne School District in Humboldt County here, the public hearing was the 4 hours after I got the letter. So maybe they can work on next year, getting them out a little sooner. I think they were mailed on the proper date, but because of the outsourcing and the weekend and stuff, that it would be nice to get these a little sooner. But so that's just basically it. The levy doesn't mean what you're gonna pay in taxes. Taxes are going up because your budget's going up. What you're gonna collect. Just short of $1 million according to this paper. Now, I know it hasn't been proved yet, but and like I said, this letter, the figures are right. The only thing that's wrong basically was the date of this public hearing. It says it was March 13th, and that's somehow got wrong, but luckily I saw in the paper of this date today, and even though the internet on the agenda, or the agenda on the internet didn't show it. I don't know why, but anyway, so like I said, this is confusing. If you really want to be confused, you should look at the effective tax rate and try to figure that out.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is,
it's confusing. I did figure it out. And also, if you want another thing confusing is that, if you had $100,000 value, what you would pay in property taxes. That's confusing because what I finally figured out that $100,000 didn't take, well, what they did is take the rollback in, so that $100,000 wasn't really $100,000, it was $48,000 because of the rollback. So if anybody isn't really into how taxes are figured, this was
Oh, it's a nightmare to figure out.
yeah. You know, and then you got rollback and all the other exemptions and,
yeah,
and stuff, but I'd say that my suggestion is, when you go to ISAC, you know, your lobbyist group and stuff, I would see if they would change this for, you know, another year and stuff, because it costs the county a lot of money to mail all these out to every taxpayer, property owner and stuff, and, so, but, that's all I got.
as far as the comment about ISAC, I go to ISAC every time they have one, and I do meet with the legislators, I talk to the legislators, I email them, I call them. What I need, and I've said this before in several public forums, is we need the public getting hold of the legislators. Honestly, the legislators are not listening to people, to county supervisors. If you look at all the rural legislators, if they would all come together, they would vote a lot of this stuff down, but they're all afraid to vote right now against the party, against the governor. And I know I'm public enemy number one when it comes to that, but we have got to get our voice back. We are losing local control. So it's up to the public. We as supervisors, 5 of us, but we've got almost 10,000 citizens in Humboldt County. They need to be calling their legislators. They need to be watching. The appropriations bills are gonna be coming up, what, in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. You've gotta be watching the Senate files, the House files. That's where everybody needs to be involved. You know, we as county supervisors can only do so much, and we do as much as we can. And we talk to as many legislators, and I don't just talk to ours, I talk to other ones, I talk to Brink. You know, I talked to several other ones that I've met at these meetings. But it takes the citizens to get involved, get active with what our legislators are doing.
Or
And
when
not
they come here on Saturday.
Right, or when they come here, I mean, they do have roundtables and they come and they do visit, so we need to fill the rooms when they do come. Fill their emails up, send letters, same thing with the governor, let her know what this is done. It's not, we have, trust me, and our lobbyists, we have 2 very good ones. They're at the Capitol, almost, I would say almost every day. I mean, I really would. I would say they're there every day and they are talking. But no one's listening right now. And if they're not gonna listen, then we need to get people. The other thing is we need to find people who are willing to take that hard stand and say, hey, I'm gonna vote what's right and not worry about getting reelected. Because you can't vote to get, or you can't vote according to get reelected. You have to vote what you know is right and what your conscience is.
Okay.
That's my
Okay.
take on all that. That's my encouragement to all of you. How does that sound?
Not on the tax deal, but you need to call your legislators now. They've got one that I was reading about over the weekend that, your EMA emergency manager down there they've got a bill going through for 5% that he can put on. So if that passes, you talk more 5% up.
Yep.
And our legislators are against it.
Yeah.
Trish, do you want to explain some of this? Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. We do appreciate
Yeah.
it. And we appreciate people coming.
Is there anyone else that'd like to speak?
We need to explain this first and.
Oh, you want to explain?
Let's explain it first and then
Okay.
that might answer some of your questions.
Oh, there we go. Okay, well, welcome to this truth and taxation hearing, for the proposed taxes. Based on the budgets from the county, the city, and the schools for the fiscal year of 24-25. So during the 2023 Iowa legislation, they passed this House File 718, and the purpose was supposed to reduce the property tax growth. And the way they do that is by, first of all, they reduce the general basic levy rate to $3.50 per thousand of assessed value. And that will take place over a 5-year period. So it's a gradual step down because we were at 410. And they're also reducing the rural basic levy rate to $3.95 is what we were at already over a 5-year period. And it also limits our taxable growth for every year to 3%. So we had a growth of 10% overall, and now we could only tax on 3%. So as you know, then it also requires these extra statements to get sent out, and everybody receives one that is a property owner. And if you have properties in different taxing districts, you'll also receive one for that one too. The statements were generated on the whole by the Department of Management and then imported into our solutions, which is our programming. And then we send out via the third-party mailing, and it had to be out on or by the 20th of March. And again, you may have received more than one. So each statement is divided into 3 sections, as you'll notice. There'll be the school, the city, and the county. And on this, you'll see the date and the time of the proposed taxation hearing at the top, the tax dollar amount and the rate. And then in the yellow there, you'll also notice the reason for any tax that exceeds the current property. Generally, it's been inflation. And then you'll see the same thing here with the cities. And then we get to the county. And you'll see the current property tax asking and the current rate, along with the proposed property tax. So the effective rate is the most confusing part of this, honestly, is taking the current year that we're in budget tax asking and using the valuations for this current year and equating it in that fashion. So ultimately, it will be that, and then it'll come out to your current or your proposed. Let's see here. And then, oh, the back is probably the worst. This is where it shows your percentage of total current taxes on each entity and how it's being divided. You can see the school is at 32.7%. And county 16 and so on. The others include like your ag extension, your hospital, assessors, and I think that's about it. Oops, there you go. And here is our current rate. As if you used a home or a residence that was $100,000 value. Like Paul said, it does not include rollback on that property. It doesn't include any exemptions or credits. It's just straight out. This is what it would be. can see the current year and the proposed. So with the same, the commercial property is taxed similar to residential property up to 150,000. And so they get the same rollback and the same credits would apply. And there's just a different way of looking at it. The difference in percentage, the current and the tax ask, or the tax use proposed rate and your change amount. Repeatedly, come on, buddy. Okay, apparently it isn't gonna go any further, but there is a website in which you can go to calculate your specific property if you would wish, and that's on the Department of Management. And I can give you the address if you like, and they have a tool that you just plug in your numbers and it would propose the proposed one, and like I say, it's not real accurate because it doesn't include all the budgeting entities. And it doesn't take into consideration your rollbacks, your exemptions, your credits. And anybody have any questions?
I'm just questioning, so is it my understanding that they're taking a percentage away from the school, the county and the city then? Because the percentage changed
No,
in the future? I don't understand what.
that is just what is the difference between the current and the proposed rate. It looks like it's negative, but it doesn't take into consideration really all of the budget, so. It isn't taking away. Everybody has already budgeted their things. The city has turned in all of their budget requests, the schools, the county. So it's just their tax askings.
Am I correct in that there will be another public hearing on the county's budget?
Yes,
Yeah, so there is another
Yeah.
chance to comment just on the county.
Just on the county
Mhm.
side, yeah.
there will be. And that'll be set in the next meeting after this one.
I think what a lot of people have problems following is the fact that our evaluations are going up by so much when we haven't done anything to our houses, right?
Right.
When they go up by 25 to 50%
Yes.
for no reason, when we haven't made any changes to our property,
And it's across the
it doesn't
board,
make any difference what you do to the.
and that is because of our inflation. I mean, it costs X amount more to rebuild your home, so they value it at that
But
percent.
double in 1 year,
Yeah.
double.
Exactly.
My God, we can't pay for groceries, we can't pay for utilities because everything's gone up. And our income is stable, that's it. Social Security, nothing else. So imagine when I have to pay $10 for a loaf of bread because of the diet I have to be on. Now, in addition to cutting back on meals, we're gonna find something else to cut back on because I pay double in taxes.
But everybody got big raises last year. So it paid for that.
Where's my raise?
Well, we pay a percent of our own wages too, that way. I mean, I'm paying taxes just like everyone else.
Double doesn't make sense.
Part of it.
I
is-
don't set that, I'm sorry.
The
That is,
state,
you
the
need to
state-
talk to your legislature,
the
that is
state
not,
is-
nothing
Yeah,
with me.
that you've got it, again, like Trish says, you gotta talk to your state legislators. This is all done by the state.
The
If
state
they-
legislator did not assess our homes.
Here's Linda,
That's our-
if you wanna explain it, Linda, how the state mandates that we have to evaluate and how you assess.
Sure, we are to be at market value. And we analyze all sales that comes through our office every year. We pick out the arm's length transactions, which means that it's those sales that are, there's no circumstances that would affect the value or the purchase price of that home, like, family sale, estate sale, renting that property prior to buying it, that sort of thing. We analyze those sales that come through. They are sent into the Department of Revenue monthly at the very least. And with the median ratio, that's what they go by, is the median ratio. We're to be between 95 and 105% on all the sales to have no increase or decrease in valuations. And the last few years, they have been jumping by leaps and bounds on the sale prices. So we are always too low on our valuations. So on every odd year is when we have to do a revaluation. So in 23, we had to raise values again. And I can't tell you off the top of my head how much we did. We kind of look at certain types of properties and what they're doing. If they need an adjustment, we'll adjust that type of property. If not, we'll adjust our depreciation schedule to begin with. And usually then everything goes down when we update the depreciation schedule. So then we have to change our programming to reflect an increase in those values. Well, maybe the map factor, depending on which town you're from. If you're a small town, in that small town, their values might be lower, their sales might be lower than others, so we adjust that town in that area. It's all based off Humboldt, the 100% town.
Then why did my property in Rutland double? Our windows are literally falling out.
You'd have to come in and talk to me. And we can explain that to you. I would highly doubt it doubled.
Yeah, it has. It
Well,
has.
you come in and we'll look at it and see if it actually doubled. Are you comparing assessed values to
What,
assessed
this year to
values or
next year?
rollbacks to assessed values?
It's assessed value between this year and next year, the amount of money is double.
Well, why don't you come down here and we'll take a look?
May I ask Linda?
Sure.
There is a way to protest your assessment. You want to
Yes.
explain that?
If you, we'll send out assessment rolls. Every 2 years, everybody gets an assessment roll.
I can't tell you how many people I have talked to who have purchased new property in Humboldt. And when they get their first tax assessment, they look at it. And there are things on the tax assessment which are not on the property. They get charged for finished basements, they get charged for buildings that are not on the property, they get charged for,
I haven't had,
garages. Oh, I have talked to,
why aren't they coming in and?
oh,
talking
they
to
are,
me?
they are, trust me. And I was one of them. And, yeah,
What did you
I had to
have
go
there?
through with a video camera with her and put her on video because there was so many things on our property that she assessed us for on taxes, that it was just horrific. And
I'd like you to explain that then, what it all was.
I can bring the video in and show them, yes, I'd be happy to, I still have the videotape. But I
And that
talked
was
to a
from years
huge amount of
ago.
people that this happens to all the time.
And this is still happening.
And it's still
That's the
happening
point.
to this day.
Well, if we have anything incorrect, we are more than happy to fix that for
You
you.
weren't too happy that day, I promise you that.
We are very
Very common.
willing to,
If you go into contest these, I mean, what do we have to bring in? For validation that
We
Well, if
think
you happen
you would
to have an
overvalue our
appraisal,
property,
if you happen to have an appraisal, right
which
now,
costs us money to.
if you happen to have one for some
I've lived
reason.
in the house for 38 years. I don't have an appraisal.
People get appraisals for different reasons. If you happen to have one, that's always useful. Other than that, you know, anything that you think is beneficial to your argument, bring it in. We have a 5-member board on the board of review. They're more than willing to listen to you and they are fair and will act fairly. So,
Okay, so lots that do not have a building on it,
yeah,
how is that calculated? I mean, because I've got all properties in Rutland,
mhm,
and you look at the land value that 25-foot lots,
mhm.
and they range in from $610 to $1,300 or $1,400 for a piece of property.
You'd have to come in
So
and we'd look at
how
those.
do we have so many different values for an empty lot in the
You'd
same
have to
town?
come down and we'd go over that. There's different things that play into that.
Can you explain what the improvement value is?
The improvement would be your building on that lot.
Cause I've got one that has no dwelling value to it, but it has an improvement value.
What is it?
It's actually, that Jeff Goodell. Jeff Goodell's property right there on the corner, coming into Rutland. It's the property that looks like the barns are on. It has no dwelling value.
That's
to
it. That's, a rural residential then, I believe.
Yeah, he's listed as ag, so.
So, that's why it just has a different, heading to it.
The entire town of Rutland went up a lot more than the 18 to 20% that was talked about at that meeting. We're closer to 40 and 50%.
Our minimum assessed value. The minimum went up 36%. The maximum went up 103%.
I'd have to see the figures and I'd have to compare the figures.
So that we make an appointment with you.
Absolutely.
Just a question, and Paul really on his game today because he's bringing up good points. There is a board of review. It meets every May, not before the 1st and not after the 7th of May. The board of review convenes.
The board review meets the month of May.
Yes. They always tell you, but early,
Recently, they meet the 1st of May.
but now they said you have to meet no sooner than, but not later than the 7th.
If that passes,
Yeah,
which it
but-
probably will.
Be that as it may, first week in May.
Mhm.
So that is, as Paul succinctly mentioned, that is your best course of action. And Linda's absolutely right. They have a very good board. They're very fair. They listen to all these things. So not only you can talk to the assessor anytime, obviously, but that is why for the history of assessors, there's been a board of review for just such concerns. And that is your best course of action to get in front of that board.
But you do have to make an appointment to be on, to get into that.
Yes.
Yes.
So my question is, I'm confused on that. Is the board review meeting every year or only?
Every year,
Every year.
every year they meet.
Yeah.
So that's why I say, you have that opportunity.
And with the people that appear in front of the board of review, what percentage actually get their tax changed? My impression, between 0 and 10%.
I don't know.
Get changed.
I don't have any facts or figures on that, but again,
Very, very limited results from
I've only
folks
heard of
and
one
friends
person
that have
Well-
gone.
that ever won.
let me ask, have you ever been in front of the board?
I have,
Yes.
You have.
and had no result.
And no
Okay.
results. One person that we know of that won, and then even though he won, they never changed his tax, and the next year went up again.
Right.
To punish him.
I'm not sure if that's true or not, and I know they got
Hey, listen, nobody's here to punish anybody, whether you question, it's just like us. If you guys question something to us, nothing's gonna come back. There's no retaliation. Linda has to follow what the state guidelines give her. And if she doesn't follow those state guidelines,
They raise it.
then the state
gets worse.
comes in. Yeah,
Mhm.
honestly, it would be, if the
It's
state
worse.
came in and did this, it would be much worse. And that's what we gotta remember. We've gotta follow the state guidelines. We're mandated by the state to do certain
I
things
think we're trying
and
to
certain
tell you she's
percentages,
not.
but
I think we're trying to tell you, Sandy, she's not. When you have so many different things happening. and
If she
people are being
wasn't,
charged
she
for
would be
things that aren't there,
mandated.
I think we're trying to tell you there's.
Well,
fraud.
I'm not here to get,
oh, I don't think there's any fraud going
When
on.
people are
I
charged
know.
for things they don't have, like finished basements, things they don't have, buildings, and pieces of property that are all the same, but they're different evaluated prices.
Then they need to come to Linda, like we've said, and bring those things up to her. If she doesn't know about it, she can't change them.
Yeah, and the
And-
Board of Review works
Yeah, you're
for
right.
county supervisors and county.
That is incorrect. That is an incorrect statement. They are not the Board of Supervisors. They are appointed through the Assessors Conference Board, not even the Board of Supervisors. The Assessor's Office is a separate entity. It's a non-elected position for just such a reason. And
Yeah.
it's stated that, as Sandy said, there's no retaliation from
No.
the county, whether it's the Board of Supervisors or whether it's the assessor. You have to follow these things.
Yeah.
Part of this, and we're getting way off track on this truth and taxation matter. We're talking about assessors matter. Linda's there. I go in and ask her questions about mailings and things that I receive and always get a fair answer. Please utilize the system.
Yeah.
The Board of Review is a system. And there is good members on that. I know most of them. They do a good job. They're there to listen and they're there to help.
I might make one comment, as I've been in front of the board of review. Actually, by law, you're only protesting 1 year of assessment. That's
Yep.
all you're protesting.
Yep.
And so it can, from then on, it can be whatever.
They can change it.
Yes, you can go back to next year.
Yeah.
When you go there, you need to take something with you. You can't come in here and say my taxes are too high. That does no good. You have to take comparable sales from your neighborhood of like properties. Look up and see what your neighbors are paying for their taxes. It's all public record. When you're a statement that nobody ever wins, 20-some years ago, I went in front of the board and I got mine reduced. It was on ag land. I compared my neighbors on both sides of the fence to mine. You gotta have some documentation. You can't just come in and say my taxes are too high. And it's all public record, so you can look that up. And like you did or mentioned earlier, you took a video of your home. That's good evidence for reasons why you think it's too high. And she does listen. I went in on a rental property I had because they had it valued twice what I paid for it. And I didn't get it cut down to what I paid for it, but they did reduce it down due to the condition of the house. You know, like you say, the windows were shot, the roof was shot, the electrical was shot. And they just took an average house, and this house was not average, it was below average, so she reduced the condition of the house. So there is things she can do if you bring in that evidence. And that doesn't, you don't always have to go through the board review to do that.
yeah, we also have, with our board of review, we have, informal hearings now with myself. Between now and I think it's April 27th. That, if anybody is not satisfied with their value, they can come in and talk to me about it. And if I feel it should be lower, then I have the authority to lower it at that time. After that time, then it goes to the board of review, which they meet in the month of May, but you'll file your petition in April. And this informal, review just came about in the last couple of years, I believe. Because a lot of the assessors wanted the opportunity to change those values themselves. When somebody come in and presented something, maybe we were in error with something, or we didn't know about something. Well, it's a lot easier for us just to go ahead and change it than to go through all the formality of the board of review. And I've done a lot of them that way.
And we have no ability to change any of this. It all has to go through the State House.
Mhm.
And if you guys contact your state legislators,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
Sandy mentioned. They're the ones that have to listen because they really don't give a rip. Otherwise, if they don't hear from you, they just
They keep
carry
their-
on.
people their own
We're
way.
out here in the middle of nowhere and we're doing what they require us to do.
Mhm.
And then we look like the bad people.
What would be nice is when they come to town to City Hall, they have to meet at the high school because there's so many people mad.
Yeah.
Right. That would be amazing.
Be nice to know when they're coming. If you don't get a newspaper, it's kind of hard to figure that out.
Well, we try to announce
But
that.
on the
I
radio.
apologize, but this meeting was announced, what, 3 times before?
Mhm.
Cause we knew that
least.
this had to be this separate meeting from the second meeting that we get to do our regular meeting. So we announced it a couple weeks and Heather does a good job trying to keep us in our, I'm sorry. She does, April does a good job at keeping us in line with whoever
Ego.
coming,
Matt-
sorry.
Matt does a good job with.
Yeah, Matt
with the
does.
We really appreciate it. I mean, we do our best to try to get information out there. The other thing I'm gonna tell y'all right now is you can get on your phones, you can get on your computers and look up any property here. I'm helping my aunt right now. So I got on the assessors and it's just humboldt.iowassessors.com, right? That's what I got
One
here.
of them, yeah.
And that's what I mean, that's what I found. I don't know if there's another one, but anyway, so
There-
there's ways you can find that information that Rick was talking about, if, you know, to look up this information. We'll do whatever we can to help you. We're not here to hide anything or not
No.
help. We're here to help.
I just have a quick question and it's going backwards. So Rutland's property values are based on Humboldt property values?
No,
No.
I have
Thank
a
you.
question. So on new properties that are built,
I'm
are they still getting a tax-free assessment for so many years?
Tax abatement.
Yeah, tax
Um,
abatements of any sort.
different areas have different tax abatements. Humboldt has a tax abatement at 75,000. If you're in a particular area, you get 75,000 off the assessed value for 5 years.
So is there any way to draw more income from that by lowering it to, say, 3 years? Or anything like that? Or is that?
Out of
something-
my,
Is that something?
That would be for your cities.
City, I mean,
Yeah,
that's.
that's-
They're the ones that offer that.
That's a,
City?
They're enticing people to.
To build
move
houses.
here.
Right.
yeah.
and there's others that are on graduated, 5 or 7 years. It goes up every year till it reaches the 100%.
Right. Yeah, when we moved to town, we had that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know when I started my business. I didn't really get any free help, so to speak, and somebody's like, well, you should have went and asked for this, and I'm like, I didn't really need it. So it wasn't that big a deal, but I had called and talked at that time to Lori Bennett, and she had told me that, I said something about, you know, giving someone like tax-free money to draw a business into town. And, even if it's on used property and for so long or something as an incentive. And she said, well, there is that in place already. I said, well, you mean for like a big corporation, or it's based on the number of people that they employ. Well, it doesn't help small business owners.
Yeah.
That's beside the point.
Okay, getting back to this taxation thing, is there any other questions on it?
I have a comment. I think the gentleman who spoke first about the complexity of the tax calculation is dead on.
Spot on.
Mhm. Oh, yeah,
We all can
We
agree
all
on that.
agree.
yes, we all agree.
Now, that being the case, I'm gonna summarize for everyone in the room because this is really simple. In tax year 2024, all of my friends and neighbors, and I do mean all, are paying 20 to 30% more than the prior year. And now we're looking at a levy that's higher. And God knows the valuation might be higher too. And I think if people are angry now, for every person that showed up today, you're gonna have hundreds of angry taxpayers come fiscal year 2025.
Right,
So the
Right.
board and our state legislators better start listening, because we're gonna start speaking louder.
that's why you need to call
Yeah.
your legislators.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
That's why we're here. This is a start.
You can talk to Mark Thompson all the time and it
Dennis,
goes in one ear and out the other
And
most of
as
the time.
Andy said, there's a lot of people here and above us that aren't listening at all. That needs to change.
Not only in the state, but
in the federal.
right, I
Yes.
mean, it goes all the way because in
All the
the,
way.
there's federal mandates, state mandates.
Because government doesn't serve bigger government. Government's supposed to serve the people and the country.
Right.
Right.
And they tie our hands every day down there at the Capitol. They're tying our hands more, taking more control out of the county that we don't have.
Mhm.
Yeah, we don't need bigger government.
No,
And that
that's
message
what
needs
you're
to be
getting.
heard.
That's what you're getting. So you
Yeah.
need to call your legislators.
Yep.
If you don't have a number for them, check in the office in here. Any of the offices should have a
You
number.
can go
for 'em.
online.
40.
Go online, find out who they are. And you don't have to live in their district.
No, you can call in.
You can call any of them in the
Email.
state.
Mhm.
Yep, you can email, call any of the legislators. I mean, it's, cause you don't have a voting right in the
You'll get
thing,
more
so you're
vote,
not gonna have as
right?
much impact, but still if they hear from more
Yeah,
and
'cause it
more
was-
people. But the whole thing is, we gotta get, if we can't get legislators to listen to us, then we gotta find somebody to run that will.
Right.
Listen to the people.
I want to make a statement too. I want to say thank you to Rick Peterson, about commenting about my videotape that I made. Because after what happened the first time when I videotaped, it went so badly that when I bought rental property, I made sure I did the same thing again to videotape. But when we got to the property, she threatened me. And, so I want to make sure that people understand as a public statement that you think it's a good idea to videotape, and I don't want other people to be threatened when they videotape, or they need to videotape as proof for evaluations. Okay?
Thank you.
It's
As we've
a very
said,
bad thing to happen to you.
as we've said, videotape, documentation, whatever you can find. Adjacent property, like property. If I put my house on the market, they're gonna go to Humboldt. They're gonna go to the county. They're gonna find a house comparable to that.
Right, but I
And that's
think we
what
need to
your
establish
valuation
what
is gonna
is
be on.
acceptable, and what's not acceptable, and he thinks that videotape is acceptable, but I think being threatened is not acceptable.
No,
I'm not even gonna comment on it.
I would think not.
okay, moving on.
There's no other
We've got
further
another meeting.
comments? I make a motion that we adjourn this truth and taxation meeting.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Anybody's welcome to come
All in
down.
favor?
Aye.
All carried. Okay.
If you have any other issues, reach out to us.
Yeah.
I would tell you that. Any of you.
Find your emails on the internet.
Yep.
Pretty sure.
Our phone numbers and emails, we're on the internet.
If anybody wants that, where you find your stuff, out there.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, absolutely.
See that? Yeah, I might have to say that.
It's Lisa.
All right.
Dean. Dean.
Brandon. Yes.
Okay,
See you.
Okay.
running late for the other meeting, we'll call it to order.
All right, I'll make a motion.
Is there anything on the agenda that's gonna change, from when we first started?
Don't wanna add anything?
That's, just- I think we should just
I
subtract.
should just
a few
go with
things.
that, yeah.
All right,
Okay, I'll make a motion. to approve
I'll
the agenda.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All carried. Approve the minutes of April 1st.
Minutes look fine for what we did last week. Motion to approve.
Second, I'm sorry. I was.
I'm just trying to move it forward.
I was sitting there waiting.
Give it to Sandy.
All in favor?
I,
All carried.
ouch.
Approve the claims.
I saw the claims, the drainage was 540 cents, so 500.40. General was $129,098.02. That's 1, 2, 9.
Where are you
Where
at?
are you
I
at?
had 300 and some.
Where did I miss? Did I miss the last page?
There was a handwritten.
Handwritten.
Oh, I didn't see the
Giant
handwritten one.
I'll take over.
Then he takes over.
I had 333-741-59. $333,741.59. Are you in there?
That's why we're
Well, I
such a
did
good
like your
team.
number better.
I did
Bruce
too.
was the one
I
that
thought
was in
maybe
there.
I was in the wrong book.
Yes, I'll
Geez.
second Bruce's.
Sorry.
We tag team that. We'll do that.
Yeah, I try to help however I can. At least the drainage was right.
Yeah.
You're on just because Steve had to get it right.
You know, I love it. I'm so used to my mom doing Bruce, Brian, Tom, Steve.
Do you really have a Steve?
Steve and Brian and Tom.
All right, back to the agenda. The claims are 540 cents for drainage, $333,741.59 for general.
Yes.
Aye.
All in favor?
Oh, aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I just need to go home.
Who was first and second?
Bruce is first.
I second.
Okay, Thank you.
Oh, God.
General public concern.
any more?
Anybody? If not, where's Ben?
He's behind
He's
us.
behind you.
He's back in the corner.
His head's hit the locker twice falling asleep.
Sorry.
No, because I would be really confused when I got my statement. Well, I don't think there's a county around that had any less confusion.
Yeah.
They're all,
No, it was all,
if that doesn't change next year, it's a travesty.
yeah, it is.
It's bad as we had to spend $6,000 for that confusion.
I know.
We never had-
Yeah, that's what the cost was.
Like Paul said with the mailing too, I sent a certified letter to my brother that lives in Okoboji. It took him 10 days to get it.
Yeah, you can walk
Wow.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should have just drove her up there.
Yep.
Are we ready for what looks like the public hearing on the 2025 secondary road budget and construction program?
Yes, I am.
I'm gonna make a motion that we open the public hearing.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
I got 918.
9:18. Public hearing is open.
So the budgetary numbers that are on this spreadsheet are the same numbers that we reviewed during our budget work session. Nothing has changed on them. The numbers have gone down compared to the current fiscal year that we're in, just because we spent reserve to pave for this coming summer. So I believe we're like 70,000 less than, we're underspending. So in our current fiscal year, total receipts, it looks like we're spending, 12 million. We're 6 million of that was scheduled for paving. Paving bids came in at 4.3 million. So we got exceptional bids on the paving project last month.
That always helps.
Yeah, yeah, but this current fiscal year, we've got quite a bit less construction scheduled compared to the one that we're in right now.
But by the same token, in another year, when we think the bids are down, we could end up paying double for
Mhm.
asphalt or whatever for the oil. They claimed they had to bid it up, so hopefully it's a wash. We like the lower.
Mhm.
Wages for secondary road employees, we did 3% across the board. For the secondary road guys as well as the three of us that are in the engineer's office. Does have any questions on the budget side of things?
Once the bids come in lower on the asphalting or paving, is there any chance you can do more?
We talked about it in our office. We're already doing 15 miles.
And you probably have to move quite a ways for a different location. These 15 miles are relatively close.
They're relatively close to each other. I mean, we could look at
Mobilization.
possibly adding the 4 miles of the Eagle Grove blacktop. But we can't even have that discussion with them yet because we don't have signed contracts. We've awarded the project, but yeah, Dean's saying his road.
That way it's like an echo from every year.
Yes.
That was before all everybody's.
Dean, you go out and sit and wait by the road and see if you see any trouble.
It would be cheaper to buy him a new house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Only offering that.
they'll get the care center apartments done. We can move them up.
P57.
P57.
Wide enough.
It is.
Well, being as it came in cheaper, I'd rather rat hole a little bit of
Yep.
that and we'll see what. Cause that's gonna be a lot, 15 miles is a lot of hours of somebody sitting out there.
We're looking at probably a month of paving, another week at least of milling.
A lot of hours of detours.
Yeah, another probably 2 weeks of putting shouldering and everything on. I mean, we're looking at 2 months of construction. With this paving project.
Per usual.
Yep.
So you're pretty happy with that?
I'm very happy with the bids.
Oh, we're thrilled. And like Bruce said, that money doesn't go away.
Mhm.
This wasn't spent,
Yep.
which is good. Yes. So let's see, discuss the 5-year plan. Do you have anything else for us on the 5-year plan?
So the 5-year program, projects shifted around a little bit on us. Most everything that you see in the color green, has stayed the same. It's projects that we didn't finish this previous year, as well as the 3 or 4 projects that we had scheduled for fiscal year 2025. The big one would be number 2. I spent most of last week arguing with the DOT on whether or not I could use state funding for, we call it Kitley's Bridge. It used to be up by Dean Kitley, just southwest of Hardy on Texas Avenue. That particular bridge was listed as functionally obsolete. Excuse you. You okay?
I knew I didn't bring something.
So 5 years ago, I put it on the program, to use BR funding. Since then, they switched the way that they rate bridges from structurally deficient or functionally obsolete. Now they just call them poor. But they have to meet a different rating. And, initially, they didn't want to fund the bridge basically because it listed as 5s, as far as the structure quality. And technically now they need them to have at least 1.4 value, either for the superstructure, the
So it's
substructure.
not as bad as they want it to be.
It's not quite as bad as what they want it to be, but it's sufficiency ratings in the 50s.
So how's your,
And that's a wooden bridge, right?
That particular one is concrete.
Oh, it is concrete, okay.
That's what I was wondering, would you go back, if you get to that point, well, are you going back with something like on
We'll go with a box culvert.
Box
on this
Culvert?
one.
That's what I was hoping.
It's a low enough drainage area. It'll end up being, more than likely, it'll be a 10x10 box culvert.
well, how's your discussion then? Where you at with that?
I got an email about 5 o'clock on Friday that they agreed. So,
They said, okay,
yep.
so then that's gonna move, that's on,
So that's where it got moved up to the list. It's up on number 2.
so that is a good deal then.
We will use state funding for that
Good.
particular project. The rest of the projects in fiscal year 25, like I said, are carried over. A couple of those you'll see a little bit later for setting bid letting date on a couple of them. Project number 8, Thor Bridge. That's the project that we're doing inside city limits with the town of Thor.
East side?
I'm currently waiting for Army Corps approval. I sent that in November. They're dragging their feet.
That's just an in and out kind of type thing, isn't it? That one.
For them to get their grant funding.
Yeah, we
Yes.
paid for it.
Yeah, we
If
pay
they-
for it up front and then they reimburse us.
Then was that also a box culvert?
Yes,
Or culverts, whichever, I can't remember.
plans are done on that.
Okay.
That's an 8x8. We're just waiting for the Army Corps to approve the funding for that one. Beyond that, further down you look, number 16, that's Murray Bridge. That's creeping closer and closer to being in our fiscal year, in our current fiscal year, so it's fiscal year 27, so that means 2 years from now.
Do you think that's gonna stay where it is as far as the 27 designation?
Plan is to let it in September of 2026 right now. So roughly 2.5 years from now,
So that's,
that project.
that's
will
where
be
you've
let.
had it, and that's good case scenario.
We'll find out in June if we get approved
Good case.
for that grant. If we get that 2.8 million
Additional money.
then yeah, this is
Say,
What,
kind of cemented.
what would be a time frame on that? That'd be a long haul, wouldn't it?
So if we do the bid letting in September, chances are we'll be doing the tree removal that winter because of bats. Yeah, the northern long-eared bat nesting habitat. Basically, you gotta remove trees in the wintertime.
okay, that's fair.
So they'll probably start tree removal the winter of 26, 27.
No, well, apparently bats don't nest in the winter, so
Apparently, yeah.
that's good. Well,
They look for attic.
Yeah.
yes, they're in your house.
Have they ever seen the big flocks of bats flying out?
Well, that's good.
Then, pretty much all of calendar year 27 will be spent on that project.
Absolutely. Okay,
And hopefully it finish in 27.
that would be wonderful.
I mean, that's pretty much the extent of it. Everything in pink, which is a little difficult to differentiate on this map, is the new projects. The numbers in the high 20s and 30s. Those are the new projects on the list.
Does that mean later down on the list?
Yeah, that'd be fiscal year 29, so summer
Later
of,
down on.
summer of 2030.
Well, it says 5 year, it always means 5 year, but
And once again, if something broke,
If a bridge were forced to be closed for whatever reason, we can,
adjust,
yep. We can fluctuate there.
hopefully it's a culvert, box culvert, that we can slide in there.
Those go faster, for sure.
Well, did you have anybody
anybody?
call
Public
you or?
comment?
I haven't received any phone calls.
Okay.
Any other discussion on the 5-year plan?
No public comments, we determined.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Any
Yeah, mine too.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, approve Humboldt County 2025 IDOT secondary road budget.
I will make said motion for approval of the fiscal year 2025 DOT secondary road budget.
I will second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
I
Secondary road construction program
make that motion.
2025.
Motion as well for the construction program 2025 fiscal year, make that motion to approve.
I'll second. I wanna get my name in there.
There you go.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have plenty for you guys to sign
Yeah.
today, so.
We'll sign it.
Just set it up.
Approve application to work in the county right of ways.
So Corn Belt is looking at running a fiber optic line from their property here in town up Highway 169, boring underneath 169, then running in the south ditch on 200th Street East. I'm trying to think of what the address is. I think they got a tower. 2451 200th Street.
They got a
There you
tower
go.
they're going to out there.
Yeah, so. They're, they got McPeak scheduled to do the installation. I've got a county's permit as well as a DOT's permit for the portion that's on 169. In this particular instance, we had grading plans for both the gravel and the hard surface 200 Street. So I've printed copies of that off and marked where the tile systems are at. And it'll be McPeak's responsibility to make sure that he doesn't cut through them.
Mhm.
So they keep that in the, like
Back
the fence row or the back? Yeah, our requirement is to put it in the outer 18 to 24 inches. So when they end up coming in and installing, they'll end up calling locates in and putting it as close to the back slope as they can. At the depth that they're usually required is 3 feet. We shouldn't hit it with any of our county operations.
So is that knifed in or?
For the most part, it'll be knifed in. It'll be,
Vibrated in.
yeah, it'll be,
Under the road, they'll drill it.
drill it underneath any of the paved surfaces. So underneath 169, underneath County K. We've got a box culvert on 200th Street on the gravel. East of Nevada, a half a mile. He'll bore underneath that one. Feel like there's one other spot. There's 4 locations that he's gonna bore. Well, he's got two on 169 that he's boring. Yep.
Well, as long as everything's in order and we're good with it, I'd make a motion to accept that Corn Belt.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All carried. Application to North Road working right away.
So this is a repeat of a project that we approved 5 or 6 years ago for, drawing a blank. Larry Lane's property, with a different contractor. Gents was originally scheduled to come in and do the work, and as we all know.
How many years ago?
4 or 5.
Okay, that sounds about right.
So, Gary's extremely busy and Lanes want it repaired. This is a private tile that the county allowed in the road ditch many years ago. And it was installed as a perforated tile and it's got tree roots in it now, so they wanna replace about a 200-foot section south of Larry's driveway and use non-perforated.
So does that run down towards that creek or towards the
Yeah.
bridge that we?
It runs north and then cuts out and dumps down the ravine.
Yeah, just pull a timber there, so it ain't feasible to go through the timber.
Yep.
Okay. Because otherwise move it into the field, but he can't.
Yeah, well, it's on the west side of the
West side of
road,
the
so
road.
it'd be in his yard
Mhm.
and,
Yeah.
he's got plenty of oak trees up there.
Well, it's there, and it's just a replacement of perforated to
Yeah,
non-perforated.
the only thing I'm waiting for from Marso is an updated copy of his insurance.
He claims he has it here, because I asked him the other day when I seen him in the hallway here,
Yeah, he claims he had what?
had the updated insurance.
Oh, not yet.
Oh.
Well, he needs to give the updated insurance to the
He
engineer's office.
claimed Terry had it. Or
Oh,
not
Terry might
Not
have
Terry,
it.
but,
The engineer's office. does
Yeah,
not.
the engineer's office
yeah,
does not have it.
Heather, yeah, Heather.
There's two different, that's good. There's
But
two
he
different.
claims they have it in here,
Okay.
so if you want a copy.
I'll go
supposedly
ahead,
have
I'll
it.
go ahead and talk to Heather. and see if
Yeah.
I can-
Well, on that note, I'll make the motion to accept. Doug Marshall's, right away.
Second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Hi.
Okay. The
The-
plan for the special project.
So the next two projects that I have are two bridge, one's a bridge and one looks and smells like a bridge, but is less than 20 feet long. The first one is bridge replacement number 5. This is east of Thor and then back north on Virginia. About 800 to 1,000 feet north of 250th Street. We are replacing that with a 10x10 box culvert. The second project is we call it Nillis Bridge. It's over by Bob Nillis, just west of his chicken operation, west of his
West
house.
of the quarry area over there.
West of the area there, yep. I believe it's on 200, I believe that one's on 250th Street.
Yeah.
And that is also a 10x10 box culvert. So what we were shooting for is board approval, send out plans and specifications and get, notice to bidders off to the paper for a bid letting on Monday, April 29th at 9 a.m. at your regular board meeting.
Are the plans and specifications complete?
Yes,
That's what we're approving.
yes. You'd be approving the plans and specifications as I have them
And setting
here
the bid letting.
and setting the bid letting.
Okay, and you're good? These are listed on this.
They
sheet.
are on,
You wanna know?
yep, they are on the 5-year program. 64. They are numbers,
4.
yep, 4 and 6.
So could the same company technically bid them both and?
We got it
Settle?
tied. Yep, we tied the two projects together. That way we can get a better bid.
Hopefully they'd be.
That'd be good.
Talking to Whiteman 3 weeks ago or a month ago, he's hungry, so. I know PCI is interested too. Those are two of our most competitive bidders.
Okay, well, it's good to hear. Looks like it's a combination of making the motion to approve the plans and specifications for both of those projects. And also setting the bid letting date for April 29th, 2024, 9 a.m. here.
Is that time free? On the 29th?
Hope so.
I don't have anything in my book.
Yeah.
That's up
I
to me,
can
now.
tell.
It's out of the ways.
Alright,
I usually put it in mine when it's nice, so,
Oh, let's put it this way, if that's
Yeah,
the first thing
yeah.
on there, then it's on there.
yeah. I don't have anything either.
Someone second that,
Not yet.
I will.
Any other discussion? For bid letting for April 29th, 9 o'clock. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
the last item that I have on the agenda is to approve plans and specifications for the Dakota City Shop. And to set a letting date. I have listed Thursday, April 25th. At 11 a.m., but if that time does not work. I'm open. My reason for choosing that time is that way I have a chance to review the proposals. Prior to Monday's meeting and
Make sure that they're,
make sure that
Right,
everything's.
Do
up
you
to snuff.
need, us to be there?
Not necessarily.
Any of us, some of us, all of us? doesn't-
We'd just be taking the letting. We wouldn't be awarding.
Right.
We'd be awarding potentially Monday.
Monday.
It'd be nice if you could get the bids in middle of the week prior, then you could look them over and,
That's kind of the goal. That's why I
yeah,
said,
so you just pick a day.
Yeah.
That works for you.
okay,
And then you can put it on the meeting to approve.
okay.
The
That's what
only
you're
thing, I know we've had this discussion meeting about the heating. I think in our sheriff's area, I think we still need to go back to more of a climate controlled area. Cause we talked about tube heating,
Mhm.
but then come spring, you got humidity issues. You gotta run dehumidifiers and fans for air movement.
Well, hopefully he's actually using it and he's opening the door from time to time, so.
Yeah, but that still can be an issue.
That's the plan, to use it.
Yeah, but I'm concerned that you could get some condensation in there and things. I just think more of a forced air furnace with an air conditioner to take the humidity out in the summer would be better. Cost wise, I don't think there's a whole lot. Some people say it's a little more expensive, but you're gonna have to have dehumidifiers, running fans.
Oh, these are insulated walls, obviously, because it's a heated area.
Yeah,
Typically really run into that much issue with
If you, I mean, it's similar to your garage. I mean, if you've got insulated walls, but you don't have proper ventilation and you're not opening the door on a regular
Floors don't
basis, the temperature between outside and inside that building is gonna be
different.
drastically different. Where,
It's
you know.
like my shop at home. I heat it through the winter, but come spring, I open up the big door, let the sun shine in, let the wind blow in, dry things out.
Mhm.
We can't do that up there. Because you just can't.
no, you can't leave the doors open.
No, and really the cost between the tube heating and the forced air furnace is minimal, and air conditioner. There's not a whole lot of cost. Maybe
Your cost is
1,000.
gonna be your ductwork.
Your ductwork. And
Yeah.
that's just that round tubing. They slap it in, pretty simple. It's not like you gotta run runs across the room. You run one along the side, blow it out.
And
That's the only thing I
Tube
think.
heating, you're at the mercy of propane. Unless
You're gonna
Natural
be natural
gas.
gas.
Use natural gas.
It is natural gas.
But you're
Yeah.
gonna be, I mean, it's gonna be natural gas, whether you
Either way.
do overhead
Yeah.
or.
Well, can you bid it both ways and just see what? I don't know.
I just think that's my concerns.
I'm not, and I don't wanna piss anybody off, but we're not making a man cave. I'm just saying, I don't want to be pulled over when I leave town in semi, but.
The only thing is, I'm gonna have paper stuff up there, and I don't know if that's gonna affect things up there or not.
Mhm.
So I don't have
Honestly,
any,
the courthouse might
conditioning
want to store
listed
some paper
in
stuff
any
there
of
too,
those.
because we have documents that we need to keep secure. That,
Courthouse,
yeah, we do have a vault downstairs that's clear full of stuff.
I know.
But anyway, it's just a thought. I wanted to throw it out there, get I've talked to a couple different heating contractors and they recommended the forced air furnace. Just for that. climate
And air conditioning.
And air conditioning. I mean, you're not gonna set it down to 68 degrees
No.
in the summer, you'll set it at.
It's more for the,
76,
it's more for the humidity than it is.
And the air filter,
Yeah.
for more of a climate controlled area.
And if you're gonna have a lot of papers in there and stuff like that, it's kind of like a library, you wanna keep.
Right.
Things
It's gonna, right.
pristine, I don't know if pristine,
Well-
but you wanna at least have it be, you don't want them to smell moldy and get
Right.
nasty.
Well, this would work, this would be in conjunction with any of the other like courthouse documents.
Yeah, anything that has to be locked up and secured.
But I mean, this would, is this one furnace air conditioning?
Yes, just one, just for the sheriffs.
So what do you want for a BTU? I mean, you're.
I just strike it, let's add it in later. You know, we can take quotes from somebody, just do it separately.
They're gonna ask.
They're gonna ask.
I'll guarantee you they're gonna ask. I mean,
Well-
because
Well, then-
the
then-
difference between, you know, a cheap furnace
Oh, yeah.
or a high efficiency furnace, there's quite a bit of
Quite a bit,
difference
yeah.
between the two.
You'd want it to be high efficiency, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Right.
You don't want an 80%.
yeah, I would think,
Yeah.
but I
You
don't know.
know, and they're gonna size it based on the size of the building,
Yep,
Mhm.
so.
okay, put it as what do you call that? Option for cost between the two and that,
Between a tube and that,
yeah.
okay.
And just require one round duct running 2/3 length of building with vents on one side. That's all it needs. Just needs some air movement.
You want the ceiling?
Yeah.
So you're planning on going at 11 o'clock on the 25th?
Yes. If that works. I mean, the main two contractors that I'm thinking of have already seen an iteration of these specifications,
Similar.
so.
Yeah.
Well, that shouldn't be a huge difference between the
No.
heating system. I mean,
We're not gonna be at the 500 range. My guess is we're gonna be around 6.
And they was below 5,
So-
for sure. But you never know, people might be hungry.
I'm out of town that day, so.
well,
I mean,
then,
not, I mean, if you
It
need
doesn't-
that,
They're
I'm
they're
just
gonna
saying,
drop,
yeah.
they're gonna
This-
drop
Just gonna
their
drop 'em off and then-
bid or their proposal. They're
You're
drop
gonna-
it off.
And
You're
then
gonna-
bring 'em in the following Monday.
you're gonna run through all the numbers, crunch the numbers, and then.
I'll
it'll
put
be-
everything
Yeah.
on a spreadsheet for you, so.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Well, with all that, one other quick thing, if you're gonna have the heating system be heating, air conditioning, obviously it's better to install it when you build it than
Yes.
it is at a later date.
Right.
So I'll give you that much.
Okay.
So with that, I'd make a motion that we do approve the plans and specifications with that slight adjustment. And set the bid letting date that will be April 25th, 2024, 11 AM. That will be at the secondary roads shop. And or the engineer's office.
You have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion,
Add it.
all in favor?
Aye.
We should be on that.
I believe December 15th is the completion date. Yep. Or liquidated damages of $100 a day.
Anything else?
We've started, working in the yard there in Dakota City last Friday. Moving a bunch of our beams, trying to get everything up and out of the way, because we had quite a bit rat holed in that corner as far as old I-beams. Some sheet piling, wooden plank. So we had quite a bit of activity there on Friday. Restacking and moving. We removed the doors on the tin shed.
Oh, you did.
In Dakota City, so.
When some stuff gets moved out of there or move it, put it didn't we talk of kind of leveling up the dirt floor and maybe get crushed rock? over the
Yeah,
top
we
of
need
that?
to, when the weather's completely fit, we'll drag everything out of the yard and, get in there with a skid loader and peel that dirt down, level everything off, put some rock back in.
Like a nice lean-to storage as we talked.
Yep, yeah, so. I haven't been past it to see how the 60-mile-an-hour winds handled it with.
Well, I guess if it's,
Without doors holding it shut, so
the tin's gone.
half the tin might be
I guess if
gone.
it's gone, we have to go to plan B.
Yeah, yeah, so. But yeah, that's coming, so.
Okay, you have anything else for us?
That's it.
Thanks for your hard work and due diligence in putting all this together.
Just a lot of signatures.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, we had to talk to Ben the other day, we had a season pickup, so Ben was nice enough to let us, put a pickup in.
We had an open spot.
Okay, moving on down. Set to place on file the recorder's quarterly report. Copy of it.
Let's see a copy of that. Am I blind? I was blind on the claim, so I could be blind on the.
I haven't seen mine, I guess.
Auditor, reporters recommended.
I saw the auditors.
No.
No.
I was going, "I'm totally blind."
We don't have a copy of it.
Find anything good out there?
Nope, we'll have to have the lawnmowers are sold.
Right after I did.
Clean out the timber, I had a bunch of trees that fell down during high winds, cut those all up, burned them up last night. It got pretty good, had a nice little rain, took the fire down.
I didn't stick it out. After the trees and we started moving back, I left.
Did they sell the camper?
600.
It was.
Fifth wheel camper, yeah, $600.
You did?
I didn't.
Oh,
No.
gonna say.
That's what it sold for on the auction.
I'm no kidding, I saw it sitting out there.
Needed a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Well, and inside of it too.
Yeah. Okay, looks like, $46,584.80 total. County was 16,225. State was 3359.
Right. Well, I'm assuming that those numbers,
Yeah, I haven't
that
had-
she would have been, down here pleading,
Yeah,
so I would make a motion to accept,
I'll second.
or those numbers, as you stated.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Here it is, if anybody wants to look at it. Pass it around. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Auditor's quarterly report. You should have a copy of that.
You do have that. Anything to add or on this, Chris? Pretty much what it is?
No, it is what it is. I am still getting money back from the city school election stuff. We had to go out the citizens,
Okay, so you don't,
but it doesn't go to this, but it's
you'll be getting that.
revenue anyway.
Okay. Well, this is the quarterly report, auditor ending the 31st of March this year. I make a motion to approve that. Place on file.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Set the public hearing for fiscal year 24-25 budget.
Okay, so,
Where do we have to be for posting and?
um. I can get it in the paper yet today.
If you heard it.
The 22nd. Will they be all right with it?
22nd.
Yeah. 8:35.
I got a meeting over in Gilmore here by about 11.
8:35 on the 22nd. Bless you. I might need a back adjustment. after that. 8:35. Budget. I'll make that motion if you want,
I'll
if you're good with
second.
it.
8:35.
8:35. Have a motion in a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Hold. Carried. Down to committee reports. Here.
Chris ran off, but, I didn't, I got a meeting postponed last week, so I didn't end up having any official extra meetings last week.
Monday, I think it was Monday, I stopped in at Ben's office and we went through the specs again on the building. That's about all I had.
All right, Monday morning after I left here, I called in on that surf deck meeting. Basically, all they did was they just needed to have enough votes that between the engineers and the supervisors that are on that board. The formula that they're gonna change for the way money is distributed. And they all agreed that if they do it, or if they change the formula, unless they drastically change it different from what they talked about down at ISAC, they were all good with it, because you can't, basically don't have any option anyway, so that was a very brief 15 minutes or whatever, so that's all I had.
There's talk
Okay.
of legislation. about change it. All
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what they talked about at ISAC.
the legislators get their hands on it.
Yeah, they just want to take all the
I know.
control away from the counties.
Yeah.
and-
Look, is there local control? I always thought Iowa was known for local control, but
well,
Not
What is this?
anymore.
nope.
I think you're talking about, sorry.
surf deck.
Spell that.
Basically, when you're,
SRF DAC.
your tax dollars go to the state and they determine how much they give back to you.
Something
to use the county.
Distribution and.
Yeah,
Something, something.
Calculation.
Okay.
So you're gonna lose more.
and then I'm gonna, 2 weeks ago, I evidently I made some people angry about my comment 2 weeks ago when we had the last payment. And I questioned
On the claims.
the claims on the building out at, I wasn't questioning anything other than the fact that, wanted to make sure everything was on the up and up because people were asking me. So I talked to Dave after the meeting. And Dave called upstairs and then I called upstairs. So evidently I ruffled some feathers because I got a return from him. And I said, all I'm looking for is clarification so that if something is looked into, we're good. And I think I still made him mad. So I guess to be honest, don't care. I'd rather be on the safe side than have people pissed off but we didn't check into it, so. With that, I'll shut up.
I had two Zoom meetings. On Wednesday, the third, I had an ISAC Education Committee Zoom meeting, and we were discussing what we're gonna have for, training sessions down at the ISAC meeting for August. I think we've got some really good ideas planned. We just gotta get the right speakers and try to get things lined up for that. So I think August ISAC should be really good.
We have a training in the 7-18 house file.
Yes, we are doing that. I mean,
Serious?
yeah, we are.
Awesome.
We're having, it's gonna be a joint meeting between auditors and supervisors. We're trying to, and then we're also gonna have hot topics again, which I think is really good because of course, you know, Iowa has a lot of different counties and different urban, rural, whatever, so we wanna have a way of bringing all of the counties together and talking about what the issues are and what is in their area. We are trying to work on something too with drainage, but it's just so hard because, we're thinking it needs to be a separate, you know, kind of like there's auditors, there's recorders, they have all their, we're thinking, and I didn't realize how many counties actually, like,
They don't have drainage issues.
yeah, that don't.
It
but
all
there's-
just runs
but the
downhill.
one- Yeah, and the ones that do all have issues and we need some kind of unity for the clerks.
Yes.
And so we're trying to figure out how can we do that, you know, so that maybe one afternoon or something like that, that the clerks can come. And, we're trying, but we haven't been able to find. I don't know how you put it, but right,
Middle of the road.
yeah, there you go, thank you. And
Well-
get it so that it's beneficial, we want it to be beneficial, we don't want it to be, you know.
Cause IDDA does that, we're doing that semi-annually, but the issue we have, not everybody who has drainage belongs to IDDA.
Right, and that's kind of what we've been bringing up, so we thought we need to get these, you know, drainage clerks together and what works for one county may work for another, but maybe that county hasn't thought of it or whatever, you know what I mean, just some kind of so we're trying to work on that. Oops, my phone just went dead, I can't remember what it, oh, I do too, remember. On Thursday, the fourth, I had another Zoom meeting with the, opioid and alcohol coalition. And that is finalizing what we need to get the, state funds for, because we are like number 3 in the state for alcohol consumption. And so we're trying to get public awareness more on what can we do. We've got some, we're thinking about some flyers, we're thinking about asking different, events, because it was more around events of what is going on in Humboldt County and how we can, we're not saying no alcohol, we're just saying, let's be aware of how much alcohol is being consumed for the safety of everybody.
I didn't have anything official.
What's that?
It's like when I walk out with the wine for the church, I'm the wine guy.
You're the
I
wine
walk
guy.
out with a big box, people look at me like, I don't drink this much wine.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Morgan David?
On John's response, Bruce and I talked about it, like Bruce said. I called up, talked to John, and he was gonna check into it, and he checked into it. After his response come back, we get these bills. I would suggest if we have a question on any of them, throw it out, do not approve it until we get clarification. That's my response to his.
Well, I think the
Otherwise.
procedure was what we were after. I
Right.
mean, I don't want to make an accusation in an open meeting about somebody. That's all I was after, was how do we do this?
Well, I've
Give
had
us direction. I don't have a law
three people
degree.
that's questioned me on it, and that's why I went to talk with Bruce. I figured it was all right, but we're not trying to undermine anybody, but we get a bill.
There we are.
We don't understand it, we need to do that.
You guys got a problem?
Don't have a problem, just all I was asking was, is, on our issue that I brought up 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Do you wanna talk about this in this setting, or?
Fine with me.
I'm good with it then.
So,
Can I say what I was after before, then
Yeah,
you
go
can
ahead.
tell me whatever you want.
go ahead.
I asked about a question about the billing.
Yeah.
And all I wanted to know before I brought up anything in an open meeting,
Yeah.
I'm not accusing anyone. That was the reason that I asked the question.
Okay.
And then I thought, after the meeting, I talked to Dave and I said, well, should we ask upstairs the procedure? Because when you go to one of their meetings and you make an accusation
Or a comment.
or a comment, the first thing you know, it gets in the paper that someone's accusing someone of something. That's all that was done. I wanted procedure. I don't have a degree like people in law, so wanted to make sure we were right.
Okay,
Okay,
okay. So, the Iowa code says I'm to advise the board as a whole, not individual board members based on people complaining to them and wanting advice. So, when you come to me and ask me to investigate something, that's not advising the board as a whole, that's advising you as an individual. All of this was put in front of you months ago. All of this has been open and provided to the board by the conservation board, by the approval of the project. You wait until it's done and the money is approved to ask questions. Is that doing your job? You're asking questions because people are mad at the conservation board because the dam is not being taken care of. The supervisors have said no to the conservation board for 25 years. So you call me, Dave calls me to ask to look in to a roof being put on Sheldon Park, whatever it is. Because you wanna know if it's okay.
I wanted to know if there was a conflict, is what the
Yeah.
question was.
Yes,
That's the reason I called you.
yes, and what I'm saying is, what you wanted was personal advice, not advice for the supervisors. And if you did your job correctly, you would have looked at this months and months ago. This is done with ARPA money, this was approved by you guys, and then you approved the expenditure. So, I'm fine looking into stuff, but
That don't sound like you're fine, John.
my response to you was, I don't do work for individual supervisors, I do work for the board as a whole.
Do we have to get a vote, 4-3 or 4-1? What is the number we have
I
to
would
have?
suggest you discuss getting advice from me instead of calling me up on your little personal crusades.
That's
So-
bullshit.
You can think that, Bruce, but that's what it is.
Well, it is.
Okay, well, by all.
Sorry.
means. I don't know why you would apologize.
Well, I don't think there's any personal, thing in it, other than people calling me. I'm just gonna have them call you. Let them
That's
call
fine.
you.
Absolutely have them call me, because I don't give advice to the general public. You can complain about it all you want, but I am not everybody in Humboldt's attorney. I represent the Board of Supervisors as a group, meaning if the board votes 3-2 on something, I represent the 3. If you want me to give you legal advice, I give advice to the whole board. I don't give advice to one board member. That's why when you guys ask me for something, I send it to the entire board. So, you had me look into this, I responded. And, when you have me look into something, I look into it. So I looked into it and found that you waited months and months to even bring it up.
And you waited 2 weeks to bring it back to us. That's my complaint.
That's your complaint?
Yeah,
I waited.
I mean, all you would have had to do is call and say something. That's my
No,
question.
That's not what I'm doing. I'm not calling you guys individually to tell you answers to your questions that need to be responded to as a board as a whole. Not one member.
Okay,
So if you wanna ask me a question, that's fine. The answer's going to all the members of the board. They absolutely have a right.
I
to
wasn't
know.
trying to keep anything out of the rest of the board's, ears. I just asked the question to make sure we were covered. That was the reason I did it, period.
Yeah, and my response is, pay attention to things before they happen, because if we're not covered, then the board's at fault too, not the conservation board, it's the board too.
You understand, right? You've been a supervisor for a while,
I think so.
right? So money in Humboldt County that's being spent by individual county offices is approved by you guys during a budget process. Projects done by individual departments in Humboldt County is approved. So this Sheldon Park thing was approved by you guys and given ARPA money for. Every expenditure goes to you guys. Everything about the project went to you guys. Yes, there's been changes. Mainly, the building program at the high school ended, which increased the cost of this project. Now, I have no problem answering your questions. I was telling you, I thought your questions were not very timely because all of this has been going on for months and months and months and months and months, and you wait till it's done. And both you and Dave's complaints were, people are complaining to us. So, again, I don't advise the general public in Humboldt County. I advise the Board of Supervisors as a whole. I represent the board as a group. I represent the county officers, which are all the elected officials, and Linda as well. So that's Dean, that's Ben, sorry, it also includes the engineer. That's Ben, assessor, treasurer, recorder, auditor. Okay, I don't represent Todd in a dispute between the board and Todd. I represent you guys. Well, my frustration with this is it's coming from 2 board members, not 5. It's coming from 2 board members who are. So, to answer your question, you can complain about how long it took. I'm complaining about how long it took you to come to me. I'm happy to answer your questions, Bruce. But when your questions wait until something's done, so now the people who look stupid is everybody, if there's a problem. And you guys are all over the conservation, right? You or Dave, some of you guys are at every stinking meeting complaining about God knows what. The conservation board's here fighting with you guys. You're fighting with everybody. This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. You're fighting over money that the supervisors control, not the conservation board. So you're asking me for advice. What are you gonna do if you get rid of the entire conservation board and Todd? You're gonna get somebody in that's gonna try to spend
Has
money?
anybody ever said they're doing that?
You're asking me how you guys voted against Tate to be reappointed. You guys are trying to get rid of members of the conservation board.
We voted to reappoint Tate.
You voted against it.
I made the motion not to reappoint him, period. We do that at other groups too.
Yeah.
The week before, Rick made a motion to not appoint somebody on, which board was it?
Board of Adjustment.
We didn't have a big blow up about that.
That was my advice.
Well, why were you advising him?
I advised the entire board.
I'm just asking.
I advised the entire board. I told you that guy's a liability to the county.
Okay, whatever.
That's good advice. He caused us to be sued, and then he refused to sign the settlement agreement. How is that a good person to have on a
I'm
board?
just asking. All I did was follow suit. I asked one question
Yeah.
and I get in trouble.
Now, you're mad at the advice. You're not mad about anything else. You're mad at the advice because it's not what you wanted to hear. My job is not to tell you what you want to hear. My job is to give you advice when you ask for it.
I won't,
That's
believe
great,
me, I
Bruce.
won't.
That's fine. You know what? Do whatever you want.
That's good. I'm good with it.
Yeah, you seem good with it. You seem fine. And you behaved yourself today, so good work. I mean, you seem like you've done a really good job today.
Thank you.
Moving on.
Or anything else? If
Anything
not,
else
I'll make a
from
motion
board?
to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
All right.
That's at
Opposed?
10:00.